G'day viewers, my name's Graeme Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists do what they do.
Well, hi folks. Well, Colour in Your Life is in New Zealand again, and we are down at a place called Wanaka. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Great. And I'm with a very talented lady, Kym Beaton. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Graeme.
Fantastic to be here.
Welcome.
Kym's one of those ladies that has a perpetual smile on her face, which is great to see, but also a very talented portrait artist and landscape artist as well. So we're going to be working on a... I wasn't expecting this by any means, but Kym is actually going to do a portrait of me today, which is going to be very interesting.
Yay.
So, but you really were, as far as your art career was concerned, is that you really realised at a young age that you wanted to be an artist.
Absolutely.
Very young age.
Yeah.
Freckle face with the pigtails.
That was me, yes, yes.
And then you literally went through and ended up becoming a graphic designer. Tell me, when did you decide to make the leap from being a graphic designer to wanting to be a full-time artist?
Yeah. Well, I'd gone from, full-time career as an art director in a magazine publishing company to being at home with a brand new baby and nappies and late nights and all the rest of it. And I was just going mental without some kind of creative outlet. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'd take an art class, go learn how to paint again, which is something that I always wanted to do from being a little girl, So I took up the class and decided that that's really where I needed to be spending my energies.
Absolutely. And then a Sydney girl that moved from Australia 7 years ago to Wanaka, which is an absolutely beautiful place, and then becoming involved with the Wanaka Art Society. Yeah. And fantastic friends. We're surrounded by some beautiful scenery.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
Pretty hard to beat.
Amazing place. But what Kym is going to do today is going to do a portrait of yours truly. I'm not sure if that was the best decision to make, but still. So we're going to move into that. She's got some really interesting techniques that she's going to show you today with the acrylics and the pastels. It's going to be a really interesting journey. But I'm going to pull back and you're going to step up to the plate and we'll take it from there.
Great.
Okay. Okay, Kym, well, I can see that you've actually got a little roller there. And I know that you do roll a lot of your paint on to get started on things, so...
This is true.
Show me what the roller does.
Yeah, well, before I actually start rollering, I tend to do a small thumbnail of what I'm planning out. That helps me to start seeing properly, getting my head around where things are going to be in the painting, the compositional elements. And so I don't actually draw onto the paper at all. I go straight in with the roller.
Okay.
So this just helps me to get my proportions right.
Just a general idea where...
Yeah, where everything's going to be lying. So you'll notice that I'll mark up on my board halves and quarters. I do the same on my thumbnail sketch, and that helps me just to figure out where I am on the page and make sure that I'm, getting it in the sweet spot.
And now that you've got the live model here, I mean, what Kym actually did was she took a photo that had been taken of me in England, and I had sunglasses and a jacket.
Yes.
So you photoshopped, because you're a graphic designer, you photoshopped the glasses out, stuck my other eyes in.
Yep.
And then put a scene of Wanaka.
Yes.
In the background.
In the background.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, look, I know you're a busy man, travelling all over the world, doing all these different things. So, yes, there is sometimes a little bit of preparation that's needed when you're composing a painting. So, yeah, I took a photograph of the mountains that we've got here, and the grounds that we're painting in amongst
That's beautiful.
today.
Yeah.
And yes, I photoshopped Graeme's painting a portrait into the background just to help me prepare the composition for today.
It's really well done.
Yeah, you'll notice he's wearing glasses in this, and so I did do a little bit of Photoshop work on him. So
Took the glasses out. So.
I whipped his glasses out. I put a different photograph of his eyes in there just so I can get an idea of the shape of his eyes and the colour, just to make it a little bit easier for myself, because I don't want Graeme having his portrait done and it actually not looking like Graeme.
Fair enough. But that photo was actually taken by Leon Bowen, who's one of the guys that works with us in England now when we're in Cornwall.
Yes.
That was taken, but let's see what happens there. This is going to be very interesting.
Yes. So I use just a little DIY roller from the hardware shop, foam roller. I moisten it up with some water, and mix. I use acrylic paints, a mix of Atelier and Matisse brands, and I use clear painting medium a lot. It goes back to, I do really thin translucent layers of acrylic, and I like to blend them and build them up. I think it harks back to my printing days where we use 4 different colours in the printing process to build up all different kinds of colours, and having that in my training, it comes through in my painting as well. Okay. So let's give this a go.
Yes, let's. Interesting technique, to say the least.
Yeah. So I'll start from the edge of the face. I will find where the light source is coming from.
So you're really using the roller as a brush as well?
Yeah, I use it to outline, really, to begin with. What I'm wanting to do is to just block in, you know, the edges of the nose, down under the cheek, and work my way through the face.
So this particular technique, did you develop this yourself or did you learn this off somebody else?
I think I developed it on my own. A teacher did suggest that, you know, rollers were an interesting, you know, some people use credit cards and things like that. I tried them and never really enjoyed the outcome. This just seemed to resonate with me. I like the fact that nothing is guaranteed. I like a little bit of that spontaneity, and, you know, there's room to move when you're actually doing this. I'm not going for a precise photorealistic look. That's not how I paint. What I'll be doing is getting the basics in there and then coming from there.
So the great love you have for both the landscape and portraits. Got a picture of Bruce.
Yes, Bruce. I took a portrait workshop in Sydney with a tutor, and he was just a model that came in off the street. But there's a story in everybody's face.
Yeah.
You know, every line, every wrinkle, every hair, every blemish or beauty spot or whatever it is. It all goes to part of being who we are.
Yeah.
You know?
The history of that person's face.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's what I'm trying to capture here, you know, trying to get some of your life, Graeme, that you've lived.
Well, you don't want to go into all of that.
This is only some of your life. It's not all of it. Yeah.
So the piece today is really a combination of acrylics and pastels and ink.
Yeah.
Using three
mixed media.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Just love mixed
Yeah,
media.
So do I.
Why stop at one medium when you can have 3?
Just throw it all in there.
Exactly. I mean, really, I do also paint in watercolours, but I think some paintings lend themselves to certain mediums. Yeah, so I just love the freedom of mixed media. All right, I think that's enough for the skin colour, and I'll be adding another 4 different layers of colour, so I'll just wash this one up and get going with the next one.
Let's do it.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to mix up some sky and mountains here this time round. I like to get varying strengths of the colour because you can get the really pale blue for the sky, but then you can get a more intense blue for the mountains, all within the same colour. So I like to be able to use the differing strengths as I go through. All right, so you can see how you can just get it on really quickly.
Yeah, just map those colours in.
Yeah, and it's really good fun to actually use the white of the paper for the mountains.
But I'm also, quite interested in the landscapes that you do as well. I mean, moving to Wanaka,
Yes.
there's some beautiful scenery around here, and you've got one called Morning Sunlight.
Yes, that's down by Lake Wanaka. I was taking my dog out for a walk that morning with my husband. And my husband snuck up in front of us and took a photograph. And I used that to actually paint that painting. So
It's a great piece, really, really pretty.
thank you. Most of my paintings are from around the region when I've been out and about, living my life and living with my family and going on adventures, and I take the camera wherever I go.
The whole lakes around here are just extraordinary. It's amazing.
Yeah, and they're even better in summertime. You get out there and swim,
Yeah.
bracing swim.
Yeah, it would be a bracing swim, even in the summertime.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I've just mixed up a bit of burnt umber and quinacridone magenta, and I'll get that on my roller. Just have a little check and make sure it's the right consistency.
Okay.
What I'll do is just start painting that in, and I'll try and keep some of the highlights on the jacket.
Yeah. So you also enjoy doing workshops and teaching
Yes.
in the Wanaka area. There is a strong artistic presence in the area. There's a couple of galleries as well, isn't there?
Yep, there sure are. Lots of construction going on, so all these beautiful houses deserve a little bit of local art.
They certainly do. All right, Kym, well, you've put the base colours down. You can sort of see the outline of yours truly, but you start to map this with a little bit more detail with...
Yes, with some Art Spectrum permanent ink and just a good old stick. I like the spontaneity. It doesn't give you a lovely prescribed line. It's a little bit out there and exciting. It makes the line a really exciting line. So I'll just get into it here.
And it's any particular stick at all, or just one that you...
A hard one.
A hard stick.
The bendy ones just don't work, no. And so what I'll do is just, you can see I'm not going over exactly the outline that I've got. There's overlaps of, bits of hat going out into the sky and vice versa. And I'll use straight lines. They really do give a strength to the painting, more so than a lovely brush. And I'll draw in quite a bit of detail with the ink, cross-hatching and stippling and all different kinds of techniques, just to describe in a little more detail of what I'm actually doing.
And is these techniques something that you teach in your workshops?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I do like to share what I've learned. I think it's important to pass on what you discover along the way.
Sure, but you just have to look at the mountains around Wanaka to understand that this is a beautiful place to come to do a workshop with somebody,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah, and so quite quickly you can start to build up the face. And I don't draw everything, a lot of it is nice to actually leave as imagined.
Now the technique that you're doing with me is very similar, or much the same as the technique that you did with the piece called Grandma.
Great grandma, yes.
Great grandma.
Great grandma. It's my husband's grandmother.
Okay.
And so, she sat for me and portrait.
That's lovely.
Great grandma. So I think I might just start out with a little bit of the blue. I did struggle a bit with your eyes because the image that I had of you was your eyes were hidden, and of course you're wanting to be emphasising the shape of the eye as you're going along. You know, you're getting a shadow from the upper lid that's coming in.
It looks like you're just sort of touching that edge.
Yep.
From where I can see right here.
Yeah, what I tend to do is, you know, if I'm working on the mountains, I'll once again use quite a bit of cross-hatching.
I think a good example of the cross-hatching that you actually do is when you look at the picture Breaking Storm.
Yeah.
And you can see that violence in the storm as it comes across. And you said that you and your husband Michael actually watched this storm come over the ridge.
Yes, it's we get some pretty spectacular weather systems that come through the mountains here, and a particularly violent storm came in and blew across the mountains. It was a very short storm, but it was really violent, and it dumped a whole lot of snow on the mountain, and it broke. The sun came through, the clouds cleared, and Michael took the photograph, and that's where that painting came from. It was just one of those beautiful moments, those pristine moments where, you know, nature in all its beauty. And so there was the painting. Yep.
And now you're sort of doing the same thing with my face.
That's right, the pristine beauty.
So with the pastels, there really are varying degrees of hardness and softness.
Yes, some of them are quite creamy, like a creamy finish. And once they're down on the surface, it makes it very hard to actually apply any other pastels over the top. So you want to be careful about which ones you're using in which order. So you generally start off with the drier ones to begin with, and hopefully you've got the colours you need in those varying ones. So, and then finish off with those creamy, sparkly ones at the end. Yeah.
So if anybody would like to talk to you about your workshops, your website address would be?
KymBeatonArt.com.
KymBeatonArt.com.
Yes, or on my Facebook site.
Okay.
Yep.
We could go in and have a look, and you know, if you're in the Wanaka area, you can only sort of ski for so long, I'd say.
True, very true.
Drop in and say hi to Kym.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, look, obviously I spent quite a bit of time on my pastels getting those facial expressions right and a good likeness. So I think I might just move on to the Colour in Your Life logo, which is really what Graeme's about. So yeah, it's times like this when my graphic design actually does come into the fore. I'm quite adept at actually drawing letters and words. So, and this is where I really do pull out my sharp pencils. And it's the finer details in a painting that really do make the difference. You know, it might be a slight shadow underneath the embroidery that will actually bring it to life and really give it that crispness of line, as well as around the words as well. I'll highlight, I'll put this in white now, but I will put a darker outline around the outside just to lift it off the surface.
So an essential part of, you know, putting portraiture together is that you've got to be able to draw.
Yes, you know, you have to be able to see shapes, and when I'm teaching students, it's a whole new way of looking, because as a kid you just look naturally, and we all think that we see what we see, but when you're an artist, it's actually breaking down what you see into shapes and colours that actually start to make sense on a two-dimensional surface, which that's the skill of it. You know, it's seeing those shapes, seeing those colours, and making sense of them.
So do you do a lot of commissions as well?
Yeah, the Wanaka landscape's beautiful, but you know, portraits are great fun.
Yeah, well, for those people that are in the South Island of New Zealand, or even
Australia,
across the rest of the world.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, you said in your CV that you hadn't had a lot of formal art education, but you really pursued the knowledge of art through varying teachers, but books as well.
Yes.
And you know, absorbing as much information as you could from those sources. I mean, you know, YouTube's come along, funnily enough, in the last 10 years, but before that it was literally you had to find the information out of books.
Yes, absolutely. I had a book that was how to, you know, from go to woe, and then they'd take the still shots all the way through. And I would follow those and I'd read them and I'd try and absorb it all. Whereas now, these days, you can get online, YouTube, and you can see somebody, you know, creating their work, and it's so much more easier to understand how they come about their process. So, it's brilliant. As an artist, we're such a visual entity, and you know, having it seen in a video form is really, well, it's helpful to me. I'm sure it's helpful to a lot of people.
I can remember the old Walter Foster books.
Yes.
Art books.
Exactly.
That was back in the 60s. Okay, Kym, well, as we spoke on the phone, it takes you a long time to do these.
Yes.
And but you very graciously sat down and patiently painted another one of me with pastels, which is the finished product, which looks quite amazing as well. But all around, we've had a fascinating day with you. Thank you so much for choosing me as the subject for the portraiture, but a wonderful portrait artist and landscape artist, and thank you so much for having us in your studio today.
Fantastic. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Well, as you can see, guys, there's two of me on set at the moment, but wonderful likeness, Kym.
Thanks, Graeme.
Thank you so much for having us in your studio. Great day. Really, really beautiful area.
It is, isn't it?
It's spectacular, it really is.
Pretty special.
And your personality is about as big as the sunshine as well, which really helps. Now, your website address again?
It's KymBeatonArt.com.
Okay, fantastic.
Kym Beaton with a Y, K-Y-M.
Don't forget that. And also the Wanaka.
Wanaka.
It's that, I keep getting it wrong. Wanaka. The Wanaka Art Society. You work with them and you exhibit with them twice a year as well.
Yes. It's a great opportunity for me to get out of my studio, show the general public my work, and sell.
Absolutely. So, and their website address is?
WanakaArtSociety.co.nz.
So come along and have a look. And also, if you're in the area or even in the South Island of New Zealand and you'd like to catch up with Kym, obviously please come in. She does workshops. Just a really bubbly human being and a great person to be around. So, you know, apart from the fact that you've got the beauty in the area, you've also got this lovely lady as well, which I think could have a great time.
Aww.
So, as always, you can come and see us at colouryourlife.com.au, Facebook and YouTube. Come in and sign up to be a member if you want as well. And also, we wanted to thank New Zealand Artist Magazine. They've been fantastic for helping us out as well. Go and see Rob and Megan, take out a subscription with them because they really do some great work as well. But until we see you guys again, remember, make sure you put some colour in your life. And we'll see you next time. Bye now. Bye.